Chapter 19. It was difficult to tell who was the more surprised, Matthias and his party, or the rat sentries. There was a second's pause. Then they scattered. One or two of the rats were a bit slow off the mark, but not as slow as Colin Vole and his mother, who were roughly grabbed by the faster sentries. Matthias dodged, wriggled, and ran free, tripping a rat who was about to seize Mr. Vole. The young mouse ran, pushing the vole in front of him and calling out, "Run! Keep going, Mr. Vole! Try to make it to the woods and hide!" The vole faltered. "But my wife, Colin, the rats have got them!" Matthias pushed him roughly forward. "They'll get you too if you don't hurry. Move yourself, Vole! You'll be no good to your family as a prisoner again!" Taking Matthias's advice, Abram ran as fast as his legs would carry him. Matthias turned and picked up a heavy branch. He faced the oncoming rats. "Only a dozen of you?" he taunted. "Let's see what you rats are made of. First come, first served." Matthias swung the branch. It whooshed through the air, causing the rats to stop in their tracks. As he advanced on them, flailing the branch, he shouted at the top of his voice, "Basil! Basil Stag Hare! Where are you?" The rats tried to circle Matthias. One got too near. A hefty blow from the improvised staff sent him crashing to the ground. "Oh, well hit, sir! Jolly well hit!" It was the hare. He came bounding up, for all the world as if he were on a Sunday school picnic, grinning from ear to ear. Colin and Mrs. Vole came panting in his wake. Matthias gasped with relief. "Basil, where in heaven's name did you get to?" The skillful creature dodged a rat, spun round, and landed a fierce double-footed kick to its stomach. The rat bowled over, completely winded, all the fight knocked out of its body. Basil chuckled. "Sorry about that, Matthias, my old lad. When these chaps gave up chasing me, I scooted back to my den. Spring cleaning, you know. A bit late, but I'm only a bachelor in single quarters, what?" Matthias was flabbergasted. Here he was, fighting off a dozen rats, trying to rescue the Vole family, while Basil was dusting out his den. The young mouse could scarcely hold his temper. "Oh, how nice of you, Mr. Hare. So glad you could join us," he said sarcastically, as they beat off rats and hurried the voles along. "I don't suppose you put the kettle on for tea?" Basil bowed to Mrs. Vole and offered her his paw. "Allow me, ma'am. Why, yes, as a matter of fact, I did. Nothing like a fresh pot of mint tea after some good healthy exercise. What? Matthias struck a rat square in the face with the butt of his branch. The hare was obviously insane. Mint tea, indeed. "Well, I don't suppose you think I'm going to sit in your den drinking tea all afternoon," he yelled. Basil had a hammerlock on a rat. He swung him and knocked two more flat on the ground. He winked at Matthias. "I certainly hope not, old bean. You see, it'd be perishin' awkward, as I've only got a 4-piece tea set, and if I'm not mistaken, the small gent who took off for the woods like a scalded duck is obviously the husband of this delightful Lady Vole, so I'll have to invite him too, won't I?" Matthias tripped a rat with the branch. He was learning to take Basil in his stride. "Why, of course you will, Mr. Hare. What a bore you must think me. I'll probably sit around on the common here and teach the rats to make daisy chains." Basil dodged round a rat and laughed approvingly. "No need to get uppity, young fella. I thought I'd best shelter the voles and see 'em safe to the Abbey later. Obviously, you need to get back to Redwall post-haste. A family of voles would only slow you up." Matthias grinned ruefully. "I apologize, sir. I accept your offer of help gratefully. I didn't mean to be rude." By now they were right at the edge of the common land. The rats had fallen back momentarily. Basil shook paws with Matthias. "Good mouse. Right. Cut along, young'un. I'll see you when I deliver my charges back to the Abbey." Alone and unencumbered, Matthias struck off into the woods. Traveling doggedly on wearied legs, he realized that his entry to Redwall would have to be from the mossflower side, as the main gate would probably be under attack. Could the defenders hold out? Was Constance organizing the retaliation correctly without him? Had the sentries stayed alert? Was Cornflower safe? Questions raced through Matthias's brain as he fought his way through the undergrowth. Taking a check on his bearings, he began to worry a little. The abbey wall should be in sight over towards the northwest. Perhaps he hadn't fully realized the sprawling size of the woodlands. Yes, that was it. Maybe if he kept on trekking, the walls would soon come into view. From somewhere ahead, Matthias could hear the trickle and gurgle of a stream. He remembered that it had been some time since he had eaten and drunk. Changing directions, he followed the water sounds until he came to the banks of the stream. Lying face down on a low outcrop of red sandstone, Matthias drank his fill of the cool, sweet stream water. Further down the bank, he found some young dandelions. Gathering a bunch of tender leaves and buds, he made his way back to the sun-warmed sandstone and stretched out on his back, nibbling dandelions and gazing up at the cloudless blue June sky through the treetops. What an action-packed day it had been. Matthias was glad of the brief respite after all the excitement. But he told himself that he could not afford to stay long. He must press on to Redwall. He heaved a great sigh. The life of a warrior was very tiring. Closing his eyes momentarily, he thought of Martin the warrior. Did he ever feel tired? He must have, defending the abbey with his large heavy sword, wearing all that armor. Whatever happened to the sword? It had to be somewhere. Legendary weapons didn't rust and wear away at nothing. Otherwise they'd never get to be legends. A dragonfly hovered directly above the young mouse, gently stirring his whiskers. What was this strange creature doing in his territory? He glided a little closer. It was quite safe. The oddly garbed animal posed no threat to his authority as bailiff on this stretch of water. He was fast asleep, snoring like a squirrel in midwinter, oblivious to all about him.